And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue. Want to say peace and blessings, family. Want to say Shabbat Shalom. Want to say Shabbat Shalom to everyone that's tuning in tonight. As you can see, I am out of YouTube jail. I was in YouTube jail for the past couple of weeks and over a bunch of nonsense and got a lot of bucket awards that I'm going to present tonight, but without going into any specifics. Right now, they have this channel shadow banned, and they're doing everything they can to bring this channel down. I can tell you that emphatically. So I apologize. Couldn't do any lives for the past couple of weeks, and I literally thought that they were going to take the channel down because of the double strikes and all those things that they gave for presenting actual truth. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to get into all of that right now. But I am going to give some awards, some bucket awards to this platform, as well as other platforms. One thing I did learn just from being locked down, that StreamYard is in cahoots with this platform, because I pay for an upgrade subscription with StreamYard. So they record every session that I have. So regardless of what YouTube does, they're supposed to still record the videos. So a couple of videos that YouTube recently took down, it's not recorded in my StreamYard. Those it just disappeared mysteriously. So they are in cahoots, and there's an agenda. There is an all-out agenda, right? So I want to give out some bucket awards. That's why I haven't been live. That's why I haven't been able to do anything here on this platform. I'm going to establish a couple of other platforms in the process, so that way when I do lives, and I'm gonna make it a point to, when I do lives here, I'll simultaneously do lives elsewhere, so that way it's recorded, because StreamYard proved to me that they are in cahoots with this platform. Because when we did our live, the last live we did, the reason why we was having all those technical difficulties is the fact that they were actually trying to take the video down as it was going live. And so by the time we concluded the recording, the live, it disappeared. It was gone. So again, family, just want to thank you guys for the love and support. That's why I've been haven't done any lives here. That's why I haven't done any lives here. So just be careful. Like I said, don't depend on StreamYard, because StreamYard is in cahoots. But let's give out some awards here, and I'm going to do some shout outs, and we'll touch a little bit on some Halloween stuff, because I had made a plan to do a whole series on it, but I'm not going to do it tonight. I'll just touch on a few things. But let's give out some bucket awards, because this was really ridiculous. And there is an agenda. So for the next couple of weeks, I got to stay clear of certain discussions and certain conversations, for the sake of them not using that as an opportunity to completely take the channel down, like they basically in a nutshell tried to do. So let's give out some garbage can awards. Let's add them to the bucket list. Let's add the suppression of truth to the bucket list from this platform. Let's add StreamYard to this bucket list. Let's add Facebook to the bucket list, because they're all in cahoots, family. Let's add to the bucket list these leaders that have literally sold their souls, just selling out the people. Let's add them to the bucket list. Let's add to this bucket list the billionaires who have taken in 70% of the profits, right? The billionaires are making a killing on this pandemic. The billionaires, let's add them to the bucket list. So many became billionaires during this pandemic. Let's add them to the bucket list. Let's add to the bucket list the pastors that continuously sell out their assembly, with what's going on today. Let's add them to the bucket list. So I have a lot more that I can add to that bucket list, because of the things that are going on. And like I said, it's no coincidence, because every time the channel, in spite of all the things that this platform, YouTube, has done, like the first 5 months of this year, it's like once we hit 5,000 subscribers, suddenly they put me in some type of hold. I was still able to do uploads. I was still able to post in the community, but I couldn't do lives for 5 months. And then 3 months later, they did the same thing again, had me in some type of purgatory where I couldn't do anything at that time. And then coming out of that, and then just again, give me a double strike, right? So, they're trying to attack the channel. And it was like, as the platform started picking back up its numbers, in spite of the suppression, right? Started getting back to, 600 subscribers on an average per month. As those numbers began to pick back up, guess what? Suddenly I get blocked. I get locked out of the platform, the channel, and now got to start over again to build up the numbers, from the lives and everything. So it's all good, family. And that's why I'm working on some things on the side. I'm working on some things on the side, a platform on the side. So that way, we can go ahead and have a platform of our own, because I'm one of those, I like to eliminate the middleman. I know that there's other platforms with Odyssey and some of these other places, but I want to create something that I know that they cannot touch, they cannot take down. So let's go ahead and throw the Democrats in. Let's add let's put them on the bucket list too, because I'm sure you guys probably heard the thing up in New Jersey, the governor. The governor race going on up in there, and the governor basically have an agenda that they want to push once they get elected. Pretend to be one way, and then once get elected, they're going to be completely the opposite. And let's add them to the bucket list. Family, leave the Democrats, leave the Republicans, leave this political system. Leave these guys. Register as non-affiliate. If they don't have that as an option, put in independent, whether you decide to vote or not. Change your status. Don't allow these people to use your numbers to push their agenda. Register as an independent. And if you do, make sure that your state doesn't have an independent party, because if you do that, they can put you right into that independent party. So best case scenario, register as non-affiliate. So that way it's clear that you are not a Democrat or a Republican. And I'm going to say this to you, my brothers and sisters, change your status. I'm not here pushing you to go out and vote. All I'm doing is pushing you to encouraging you to change your status, because whether you vote or not, they still use your status. If you're registered as a Democrat, guess what? They're going to use you as part of their numbers. If you register as a Republican, they are going to use you as part of their numbers. But I guarantee you, when you put non-affiliate, if all of our people, if we can unify and become non-affiliate, just register as a non-affiliate, whether you choose to vote or not, I guarantee you that will send a rippling effect. All the other communities, they understand this principle. The gay and lesbian community makes up maybe 2% of the population of this country, and they have more influence than our own community. Look at what we see happening with David Chappelle. Look and see what's happening to some of these other things that are going on. They have more influence than our community. And they continuously have proven this. So family, look, I know all of us are part of this awakening and are waking up, but we still have to be wise and use wisdom. Many of our brothers and sisters, hey, I understand that you're anticipating the return of the Messiah. I am too. But we still have to function until the Messiah comes back. We still have to function. So let's stop allowing these people to use us for their agendas. So again, whether you register, whether you vote or not, guess what? They don't care. They still want to use you as part of their numbers. So register as non-affiliate, right? Non-affiliate. I have a YouTube channel, a Facebook channel, or should I say group, Non-Affiliates Party. Go to that channel or go to that group, and let's be a voice to our people to say enough is enough. Come on, family. Daniel understood he still had to function while he was in captivity. The three Hebrew young men, they still had to function even though they were in captivity. We still have to function even though we are in captivity. We have to stop majoring in the minors while we're sitting up here bickering about whether or not we can, eat pork, still having those ongoing discussions, still having discussions about whether or not we're under the law, but yet you allowing the law of this land tell you what you can what you are going to have to do. You have to honor them. No, come on, family. We gotta stop majoring in the minors. We're sitting up here having conversations on stuff that's trivial right now. And I encourage you guys to know, read, study about the three kings, study about the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom, and the Edomites. All three of them had to come together and form an alliance because there was a bigger threat that was more dangerous than their differences. And family, we continue to major in the minors. We keep forgetting that there is a bigger threat that's greater than our differences. This threat don't care whether or not if you're an Israelite, if you know that you're a blood descendant of Israel. They don't care about that. They don't care if whether or not you believe we're under the law or not. They don't care whether or not you honor the feast days or not. They don't care about any of those things. They care about pushing their agendas. But we keep majoring in the minors. We keep fighting among each other while they are sitting on the outside watching us and just laughing. Guess what? We still talking about whether or not we're under the law, but we still got brothers and sisters getting killed in the streets. We still talking about whether or not we should eat pork or not, but what we still getting gunned down in the streets. Matter of fact, you guys don't even realize the setup that's happening right now before your eyes that watch. But a year from now, right, the police officer that killed George Floyd, watch, he's going to appeal and he's going to win that appeal. Why? Because while we're bickering, majoring in the minors, guess what? They already done let off one of the officers and they're going to let off the rest of them, which is setting up the appeal so that way he can be released. Y'all better grab hold of what's going on, family. Y'all better stop majoring in the minor. Stop getting sucked up into all these endless discussions, fables, right? Fables. That's fables. Let's and this is not dealing with your heritage, but we got to get out of getting caught up in these fables and start dealing with real issues, family. The real issue right now, there's a greater threat that's greater than our differences. The northern kingdom, the southern kingdom, and the king of the Edomites understood that there was a greater threat that did not care about their differences, did not care about what Esau did to Jacob or Jacob did to Esau. They did not care about the differences among the communities. That threat wanted to take out all of them. So family, we have to stop majoring in the minors. We have to start looking at the bigger picture. Shout outs to Ice Cube, who did like David Chappelle. David Chappelle said he left $50 million on the bus to take a walk. So that way no one can even question where he is and who he is. Family, stop supporting these platforms like Rolling Stones. I saw a Rolling Stone article earlier, and they were trying to downplay or bash David Chappelle, tried to put him down. Leave those things up. Stop supporting the delusion. But all shots to Ice Cube, who left $9 million on the bus because he jumped off that bus to take a walk because he, like Daniel did, he purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself. And because of that, he left $9 million on the bus for a movie project, a $9 million movie project. This is the second time he's done that. So shout outs to Ice Cube for doing that. I'm going to get back into uploading some of these videos. You know what? I'm going to give some shout outs here. And family, if any of you guys, I'm going to drop the link inside the comment section. I was going to do some Halloween stuff here. But let me just jump to throw the link here. Jay Highstyle, you're more than welcome to jump on in there if you want to. The link is in there in the description box. But let me give some shout outs real quick for to all of you guys, family. And Sister Angie Love, yeah, I want to say peace and blessings, sister. Appreciate the love and support. Cindy Carr, Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Stay on fire ministry. Want to say shalom to you. Dream Sky Lover, want to say peace and blessings. Yeah, thank you for the prayers, the thoughts and prayers. I was literally just wondering about Pastor Kelly. Yeah, I was quiet, silence, not because I chose to be, but because of the powers of this platform has done a number to this platform. So appreciate this, the thoughts and concerns, and keep praying for us over here. Hallelujah. My buddy Jay Highstyle, peace and blessings to you. Appreciate the love, the support, the encouragement. Really appreciate you, Sister Carol, in the building. Want to say shalom to you as well. Shabbat shalom to you as well, sis. Want to also say peace and blessings to Sarah Liz. Who else do we have here? Miss B, want to say peace and blessings. Triple J, want to say Shabbat Shalom to you. Lachelle Patterson, want to say peace and blessings. Shabbat Shalom to you as well, sis. Appreciate you. And we're going to get back on track on a few things here. Appreciate you. Who else do we have here? Dale J, peace and blessings to you. Sarah Liz, want to say shalom to you as well. Enosh Ben Israel, want to say praise Yah to you as well. That's right. Praise the Most High for my release. Hallelujah. Who else do we have here? Amelia Jones, peace and blessings to you as well. And continue to pray for, keep us lifted in prayer, because there's a lot of attacks that are steady going on out here. From outside the community and inside the community. We have to be vigilant, family, vigilant. Hannah Bith Yah, want to say peace and blessings. Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Ace, freedom. That's right. Freedom. Hallelujah. Who else do we have here? Elder Hall, peace, appreciate you, my brother. Shalom to you as well. Love you, man. Appreciate the love and support. Jacqueline Pug, Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Lest any man boast, Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Shalom Mash Paka. Who else do we have here? Coach Natasha, Mama Tish. Want to say Shabbat Shalom to you as well. It is well, family. Who else do we have here? Ace, want to say peace and blessings again to you. Miss B, Angela Caraway. I'm gonna try to get as many as I can because some are coming in and coming out. Let's see, who else do we have here? Lady Summer, Queen of the Town. Want to say peace and blessings to you. All right, let's see here. Absolutely. There's an agenda. Absolutely. Let's see who else we have here. Devora Cotton, peace and blessings to you. My sister, Dr. Janet Newell, wants to say peace and blessings to you, sis. Tana Rich, want to say peace and blessings to you as well. Who else do we have here? I'm trying to get as much as I can. Anita Reed, want to say peace and blessings to you as well. Let's see here. I think I got everyone. If I did not catch you, please do not charge it to my heart. Like the old school says, charge it to my head, not to my heart. All right. Nadia Yah's light. Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Let's see who else we have here. Yeah, we'll get it in, family. Really appreciate you. I want to bring my buddy Jay Highstyle on, and appreciate this brother, for all the support and the words of encouragement. Really appreciate this brother right here. One of the realest brothers that I've come in contact with in this awakening. I really appreciate him. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. How's it going, my friend? How's it going?
Pastor, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm out of prison again.
You're out. It's good to see you back.
Yeah. I was like, let me do a quick live here and maybe touch on a couple of things, but just want to say peace and blessings to the people And I know someone asking the question. I just saw a question. What did I get in timeout for? I'll just say this: for telling the truth, right?
Right.
And I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to bring that up right now and get another strike. You know what I mean? Just for
Yeah.
the same thing. So we'll deal with it in a couple of weeks, and we'll just leave it at that. But go ahead, Jay Highstar. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I've been
Yeah,
in the
it has.
jail.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
but been in not matter of fact, I won't even say jail, the pen. I keep going back.
Yeah, they try to stop us, but they can't bring us down, right?
Absolutely,
I'm glad to hear that you're moving forward with your own platform. That's a good thing, because the enemy, they'll only let us go so far and no further. So yeah, I applaud you on, taking the initiative to bring about your own platform, and I'm 100% behind you, my brother.
absolutely appreciate it. And yeah, it's long overdue.
Yeah.
So I should have at least the phase one of it up in a couple of weeks, and that'll consist of having an email system, uh, and some other things like folders that members can create their own folders and create their own communities even within it.
Okay.
So that'll be the first phase, and then the second phase will be adding the streaming media to it.
Mhm.
So it's going to be a tier type platform to where as though you have the email system, and also you will have the video sharing system. That's and again that'll be a tier type system. I'll implement it in tiers because when you start getting to streaming media, it can really cost a lot. It's very costly, and I got to use
Imagine.
definitely use wisdom with that.
I can imagine for sure. But yeah, it's definitely good seeing you back. You know, we're going to continue to use this channel, I guess, until I guess they just bring you down. Hopefully they won't. Prayerfully, they'll just keep it the way it is. But if not, then of course we got to do other means. And I did suggest to you the other channels as well. But you're right. I mean, they too, they can do the same thing as YT is doing. They can start monitoring and delegating what you can and cannot do. So it's better to have your own. When I
Absolutely,
was growing up, my mom always told me, God bless the child that has his own. And it's so true. He really does. He blesses those that have their own. So I applaud you again for going out there, and family, let us support the pastor, in his endeavors. That's one thing. It's so hard for us to do is to stick together by supporting one another. We're so busy putting money in the enemy's hands than putting money in our own hands. Let's keep it in the family. Let's keep the money, the revenue in our own hands. And I think that in itself will help us to rise up. When we start supporting one another instead of our enemies, that will definitely help us to rise up as a nation.
absolutely. You hit it right on the nail,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. We'll support all kinds of delusions. We'll
Hmm.
support other things, but when it comes to our own, we are so quick to tear it down before
Hmm.
it can rise up to any type of uh, you know level of notoriety, and we'll tear it down before it even gets to that point to where as though it starts spreading and really doing what it should do. So you're absolutely right. You're absolutely correct. And all I would say is this, and I have to use wisdom with this. I'm not going to tell anybody the name what's is out there. You know what I mean? And that's strategic because of some of the other endeavors that I have done in the past. I put certain things out there now where people have this thing, especially when I used to be in the music industry. It's weird how it happens, right? Here in Virginia, they don't support any artists from Virginia. So being that I'm from New Jersey, when I first came down here, they supported me more than what they supported their local artists out here.
Okay.
And that's kind of like that
Mhm.
thing of not just there, but when we get kind of like this familiarity, so to speak, like, hey, I know this person,
Mhm.
so we don't support that person because we unfortunately, in our minds, we're familiar with them. Instead of
Right, right.
saying, look, let me just support their work, whether I'm familiar with them or not. They're doing something
Mhm.
good over here. Let's support the information. Let's support the work. And so I'm strategically not going to put the name out, but I do know that when it is out, everyone will know when it's out there. But I
Mhm.
just can't put the name out. I'm just going to drop it and then just let it do what it's going to do.
Sounds good. Sounds good. You know,
So how you
and
been, Jay? How you been? How's the children? I know I'm not gonna put it out there, but how's the family doing?
well, I'll put it out there. You know, I
Okay,
don't
yeah,
have no
okay. Since you
shame
want
in it
to,
at all.
you know what I mean. I ain't want to put the info
Yeah,
out there, but yeah.
right, right. You know, my family came down with COVID, and you know, my wife and my two kids, they all came down with COVID. I didn't, so I count that as the mercy and grace of the Most High. You know, and to tell you the truth, I might have caught it before, and you know, really didn't know about it. You know, because at one time I remember I was coughing a lot, and I coughed so much one time that I actually threw up. And
Mm.
you know, and I was like, "What is this?" You know, it's just weird. And then I wound up taking some uh,
Oh, don't
allergy.
even mention it. Don't even mention it. Because if
No,
you mention it,
no vaccines.
don't mention any.
Right.
Don't. I'm telling
Oh,
you.
okay. Yeah, I
Don't
hear
even
you.
mention any type of supplements or anything because
Uh,
they are literally. I
oh
figured out
wow,
the algorithm,
wow,
so
wow,
you can't
wow.
mention anything that's related to preventive maintenance
Okay,
because
so
they'll
I'll
flag
keep
you.
it hush then. I'll keep it
So
hush. But you
yeah,
know,
so
I
remember,
didn't follow the normal routine. Put it that
yeah,
way.
because
I hope
remember when
that's
we
it.
did the last live, right? Guess what
Right.
happened? We were we were dealing with preventive maintenance, right?
Uh-huh.
And when I tested it out on Facebook, right? Guess what?
Mhm.
I put something on Facebook and they took it down. So,
Wow.
for now, let's just say
Yeah.
that everyone is
Everything's
well,
copacetic.
and
Put it
for the
that
next
way.
couple of weeks at least, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So at least
Yeah.
the strikes fall down, you know what I
Right.
mean.
Right.
So
Right. I
yeah,
understand.
yeah,
I understand.
you can't mention anything about preventive maintenance, and
Understand.
you can't even mention what you took in the process.
Ah, okay. All right. I got you, Pastor. I got you covered. All right. So yeah. I just want to say that everything's good. And I count that to the grace and mercy of the Most High more than anything. Normally they say you do certain things, and certain things happen. None of that happened. I'm gonna
Yeah,
leave it at that.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm still here. My
yeah.
family's still here. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna leave
because
it
the
at
way
that.
things are going, man, the way things are going right now, uh, they'll tell you that you're giving misinformation about your own family. You can say,
Yeah.
"Hey, no, my family is this one." No, well, you know what? That's misinformation. That's how bad
Hmm.
it is. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't even say that you're credible and show all your credentials in a particular area. They still call it misinformation. So that
I
we just
understand.
have to kind of how can I put it, kind of like a Daniel thing, for the
Uh-huh.
next 10 days we just kind of
Yeah.
fast. You
Yeah.
know what I
Keep it
mean?
to ourselves, right?
Keep it to ourselves for 10
Then
days.
test us after 10 days. Come back and see us after 10 days.
That's
You'll
right.
see. You'll see what's going on.
Then we have a lot to then we have a lot to talk
Right.
about,
Right.
especially.
Right.
But yeah, definitely appreciate you, man. And like I said,
Mhm.
and for everyone that's watching, that's why we were silent. And again, they purposely and strategically do these things because once you get out of that loop for like 2 or 3 weeks, right? Now the algorithms, you're removed from suggestions and all of that. It's like now you got to basically start over to rebuild up that momentum because I saw the momentum was building back up. And then just like what happened earlier this year when I was locked down for 5 months, they are now doing the same thing all over again. And this is like the third time. And we still have 2 more months left in this year. And
Right.
I've been locked down 3 times this year for at least 7 months out of the year. I've been locked down.
For basically telling the truth.
For telling the truth. You know, so, but yeah, but really appreciate you, brother Jay.
Yes,
I'm going to start this live presentation. If you want to be part of the discussion, you know how we do.
sure.
If you want, I'll go over it, and if you want to chime in, feel free to do so. Because you know, I know this is the Halloween season, and do want to touch on a little bit of it. I know I can't go as deep as I would normally go because of the sake of time that we're dealing with, and so. But yeah, if you want to share your thoughts on it, feel free.
Sure.
And let me pull it up here. All right. I'm just going to maximize this. All right, family. So as you see here, Feast of Halloween, Hell enlarged herself. And we're going to touch on some things here. Can't get to everything, but at least want to start off with a few things here. I want to start off with Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31. And it says this: envy thou not the oppressors. Let me say that again. Envy thou not the oppressors. All right. Envy thou not the oppressors, and choose none of his ways. Right. We see a lot of things that's happening right now with the church. We're seeing how the Halloween customs and everything is being now incorporated. We're seeing that spirit of syncretism in full effect. Instead of many churches trying to say, instead of Halloween, they're trying to call it Hallelujah night and all kinds of stuff. This is not new. So envy not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. So let me highlight a couple other things, and then I'll bring Jay into to share his thoughts on a couple of things that I bring to the floor here. But let's deal with a key understanding about the Greeks. This is coming from Josephus, right? This is coming from Josephus. And I know that among to some, right, Josephus get a bad rap because many don't understand his works and haven't read the works of Josephus. So when I hear people talking, just really bashing Josephus, but they're not explaining any of his works, then that's suspect to me. Because I'm going to share a key piece of information here. And Jay, I'll let you expound on what I'm going to read here. That's on your screen. I'm going to read this, then I'll open it up for you to, and you know, just to share your thoughts on it. So I want y'all to pay attention to this, family. This is coming from Josephus, The Antiquity of the Jews, page 11 and 12. And I have some other presentations that I have done on Josephus, proving how the church itself strategically began to change some of his works, interpolate some of his writings to push certain narratives, right? To justify certain things we see within the Catholic/Christian church. But I want y'all to pay attention to this right here. It says, after this, they were dispersed abroad on account of their languages and went out by colonies everywhere. And each colony took possession of that land which they light upon, and upon which God led them, so that the whole continent was filled with them, both the inland and the maritime countries. There were some also who passed over the sea in ships and inhabited the islands, and some of those nations do still retain the denominations which were given them by their first founders. But some have lost them also, and some have only admitted certain changes in them, that they might be more intelligible to the inhabitants. But notice this part right here. It says, and they were the Greeks who became the authors of such mutations. Let me say that again. And they, let me go back here. Like when we start dealing with this people who began to interpolate other cultures, change other cultures, it says, and they were the Greeks who became the authors of such mutations. For when and after ages they grew potent, they claimed to themselves the glory of antiquity Understand, when we deal with antiquity, we're dealing with the time that the Messiah walked this earth. We're dealing with the time of the prophets, the time of Moses, the time of Abraham. They're saying they're taking all the older you know customs, or older like information on different communities, different nations, such as the Greeks, the Ethiopians, Cush, the some of the other communities, other countries that we see inside the holy text. They have taken that, and now what? They are stealing the identity of these different communities. So it says the Greeks, who became the authors of such mutations, for when after ages they grew potent, they claimed to themselves the glory, the reputation. When you see glory, you'll see the word kabod, right? Which means it's interchangeable with reputation. So they claim to themselves the reputation of the antiquities, giving names to the nations that sounded well in Greek. Let me say that again. Giving names to the nations that sounded well in the Greek. Let me say it one more time, and then we're going to have to give it a bucket here. It says they claim to themselves the glory of antiquity, giving names to the nations that sound well in Greek. Let me give it a bucket here. All right. And notice what it says, sounded well in Greek, that they might be better understood among themselves in setting agreeable forms of government over them, as if they were a people derived from themselves. All right, Brother Jay, what's your thoughts on this here?
This is basically I would say the Greeks were the poster childs of colonization. You definitely see that's what's going on here. Not only did they steal a culture, but they implemented their own as they went throughout the world. And I believe that's generally what Josephus is talking about here.
Exactly. He's literally saying that they've been stealing other cultures. They've gone in and now they're renaming communities, they're renaming territories, and putting their names on it, and giving this appearance that everything originated from them.
Right. It's always been them. Nobody else.
It's always been them. That's right, Dora L. Identity theft. We see identity theft right here. Josephus is writing about identity theft. And this is a historian back in from the first century AD, between the first century towards the end of the beginning of the second century AD, who actually was there during lived during the sacking of Jerusalem and given accounts of what transpired. So he is an eyewitness to what transpired with Israel at that time, 70 AD. He's a witness to that. So, but again, that's what he's making it clear, identity theft. And I encourage everyone that's watching, understand the word interpolation. Interpolation. And there's a book called Proof of Interpolations. And in that book, right, it's clear, it's telling you how the Greeks interpolated the language of the Hebrews, the Egyptians, Cush, and others as well. So they began to change the languages. So this is why we're still dealing with the same thing today. Go ahead, Brother Jay.
Yeah, and like you were saying just now, we're dealing with it today. You took the words right out of my mouth. I remember growing up how you had the Sugar Hill Gang. You remember those, Pastor, and
Absolutely.
Run DMC and all these other OGs. I'm gonna call them. They were rapping. And then once our enemies caught on, they said, "Man, this could be quite lucrative." They commercialized everything, and now we have hip hop, which is totally different from the way it all started out. And it's a perfect example of how they're taking our own culture and basically monetizing it and gaining profit off of it. They're doing it to this very day. Not only in music, but in sports, in the acting arena. We have such a beautiful, colorful history of talent in every arena, and they know this. And so what do? They take it and use it to their own benefit, their own profit.
Now, can you imagine if one of us or a group of us decided to do what the Chinese do with the celebration of their New Year's, with the coming out with our dragon costumes and all those different things? Can you imagine if we were doing that and how they would come down on us for doing that?
Right.
Can you imagine if we did that with other cultures, right? With things that are what valuable to them. They will make sure that doesn't happen again, right? They will literally come down with the hammer. But we don't do
Absolutely.
that. We think that it's cute when we see, let's just say Becky, you know what I mean? Doing the dances or
Right.
sounding like us or having the hair like us. We think that is cute. When in other cultures, they'll be upset, you taking and appropriating their culture to you. And they will really be upset, but we're the only community that we think that is cool, that is acceptable, that someone can come in and mimic what we do and prosper from it. Like the lady from the Caucasian lady that was over one of the chapters of what's that, the NAACP.
Yes.
That was a Caucasian lady. She went to Howard University, everything. And even when she got busted, guess what? Our people still support her. Now she has a hair braiding business. She braiding hair, got a business for braiding hairs, and guess who's supporting her? Our people.
Yeah, that's how it works. That's exactly how it works. And even when we look at music, things like country music, rock and roll, all of that came from basically us and our
Exactly.
music. So
Exactly. We can't even keep our bad habits. You know what I mean? They take everything, our bad habits and all. Only thing they won't take from us is living the way we do. They don't. They do everything to get as close to us as they can, but not actually walk in our shoes.
absolutely.
So another thing I want to highlight, family, that you see on your screen here is the Ouija board, right? The Ouija board. Yeah, that's right, Hannah. Her name is Rachel Dolezal, who called herself a transracial. Absolutely. So the Ouija board. Let's deal with the Ouija board here, right? What is the Ouija board? Let me give you some information about the Ouija board, right? Who created the Ouija board? Well, it was created by a man named William Fold, right? This is his profile here. This is coming directly from his website, williamfold.com biography. So I'm not making up anything. You guys know how I do. I like to give facts. So as you see the Ouija board, notice what you see, Ouija, right? Egyptian luck board. It was also called the Egyptian talking board, made by William Fold, Baltimore, Maryland, in the United States. So we're going to touch on a little bit here, but I want to show a few things, touch on a couple of things, and give you proper clarity on here. So notice what it says here. William Fold, July 24th, 1870 to February 24th, 1927. This is when he was born. This is when he died. So William Fold, the third child of Jacob Fold, notice the names, Jacob Fold and Mary Abel, was born in Baltimore, Maryland on July 27th, 1870. His father, Jacob Fold, a Jewish German immigrant. All right. Jewish German immigrant. Right. And it says he left, and I'm not going to butcher these German names here, so I'm not even going to butcher these names. But it says he left Germany with his parents and siblings and arrived in the United States on September 7th, 1854. His mother, Mary Abel, was born and raised in York, Pennsylvania. Jacob and Mary were married on September 12th, 1863, in Reading, Pennsylvania. Though Jacob was raised in a Jewish home, it appears he eventually left his faith. From all accounts in church records, Jacob joined the Franklin Street Presbyterian Church on December 31st, 1855, which his wife Mary joined some 5 years earlier. It goes on to say, it is through his deep friendship with Colonel Washington Bowie, William began his association with the wonderful talking board. Again, this is the Ouija board, and it tells us how it just shot up, gave rise to become known as the father of the Ouija board. So he gained so much fame off of what started as the wonderful talking board to the Egyptian talking board to the Ouija board. It went through a number of names, right? And so want to pay attention to these names here. It says his father, Jacob Fold, was a Jewish German immigrant. And I want to show you because a lot of times we focus on when many of our brothers and sisters are teaching about the, let's just say Halloween, for example, we'll go straight to the church. But we don't deal with the Jewish community that is promoting a lot of these same practices. That's right, Dora L. Stole it. Actually, when we go beyond the Ouija board, I forgot the name of what they call the stick. They'll take a stick that looks like shaped like a Y, and they'll use that to try to look for water, like summoning spirits to look for water in the ground. Right. That's a whole nother discussion. So, but nevertheless, his father, Jacob Fold, a Jewish German immigrant. So let me give you some clarity about that term when we see German. Because a lot of times when we see German, right, we separate German from Ashkenaz, right? So let me give you clarity here, and Brother Jay, I'll open it up for you if you want to say a few words on this once I show a couple of key pieces of information. It says here, DNA ties Ashkenazi Jews to a group of just 330 people from the Middle Ages, right? And this is coming from LAtimes.com. Right. The article is titled DNA Ties Jews to Group of Just 330 People from the Middle Ages. Now, notice what it says, people. It says, so says a new study in journal Nature Communication. An international team of scientists sequenced the complete genomes of 128 healthy Ashkenazi Jews and compared each of those sequences and others, as well as with the DNA of 26 Flemish people from Belgium. It goes on to say their analysts allowed them to trace the genetic roots of this population to a founding group in the Middle Ages. Notice what it says. It's not saying antiquity. See, many of us, when we think of Middle Ages, we start thinking of antiquity. See, the Middle Ages that they're referring to doesn't include the Dark Ages, because when you deal with the Middle Ages, they're divided in two. You have the Dark Ages, and they call the Dark Ages that way because the Moors ruled Spain during that time, right? So the second half of the what they call the Middle Ages, they were actually referring to like the 10th and 11th century. Right. So that's a whole nother teaching that I'm going to do when I deal with identity theft. Actually, I'm going to do an actual documentary on it. Not, certain things I'm going to start putting in the form of a documentary. But yeah. So when you hear that term Middle Ages, don't do like we call it in sports, self-check. On the basketball court, there were certain people that we deemed to say, hey, you know what? That person can't shoot. You know what I mean? Self-check. We don't have to guard that person. So a lot of times we'll do self-check by they allow us to do their own work. Assume that when we see Middle Ages, we're thinking about the antiquities. Anything you want to share, Brother Jay, before I move on? Yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah. As far as the Dark Ages, you're absolutely right. That's the reason why they call it the Dark Ages, to keep it out of our hands as to what actually was transpiring. We were in control in Europe, all over the world. We were the rulers, and so that's why they wanted to call it the Dark Ages. I just wanted to add to that, Pastor.
Appreciate it, and you're absolutely correct with that. And that's one of the things that I want to bring out, because that's one thing that we don't understand when it comes to the history. Like when you see terms like dark ages and family, you can look it up. Go to Oxford Dictionary online and type in Middle Ages, and they'll tell you that the Middle Ages, that term simply means the lens, the view of the world through the Europeans. That's all it means. It'll tell you that in the Oxford Dictionary definition of Middle Ages. It'll tell you that definition simply is viewing history through the lens of the Europeans. Go ahead, Brother Jay. Look like you want to say something.
Yeah, and it's not just us as Israel, but it's anything that has pigment in it. They basically wanted to hush up and keep quiet about, because they knew as soon as we got any inkling of an idea that we are from royalty, we would rise up and there would be a great upheaval towards them early on. But they've done a good job of lying to us and twisting history and making it seem like everything started with them.
Absolutely.
This is how evil our enemies are.
And
Go
see,
ahead.
think of what we were talking about, what the Greeks were doing. And we see this playing out right now. That same playbook is still intact. And so, Dora L, if you want to jump in, I see you in the chat. I'll put the link inside the comment section. If you want to jump in, feel free. Dexter Lyons, I see you as well. So any others that want to jump in, feel free to do so. We'll open this discussion up a little bit, but in the meantime, Brother Jay, it's just amazing. The scripture even talks about this when we look at Genesis chapter 9, I believe around verse 24, when it talks about how the descendants of Japheth was going to dwell in the tents of Shem and also Canaan, right? And we see that that's actually referring to identity theft. Because in order to take an identity of any group of people, let's just say if we want to target the Israelites, well, you're going to have to change the identity of all the countries that's associated with them.
Yes.
Because the Egyptians are, known to be hand in hand with the Israelites, right? So if you want to say that you can't say the Egyptians are dark melanated people, right? Or Caucasian people per se, and leave Israel dark. You can't say Israel is Caucasian and leave Egypt dark, leave Cush dark. And Cush is kind of like the struggle that they've been trying, having a problem with trying to, kind of disenfranchise per se. You know what I mean? So go ahead, Doctor.
And not only that, but they also have to hide their own true identity. Because,
that's right.
I mean, it goes that wide, that is that broad, you can't just make one lie. You got to make several lies, and basically that's where we're at right now. We're seeing several lies into playing with identity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I'm going to show you guys the source that that the LA Times made reference to. So I'm going to finish reading this here just so that way you can see, as it says here, so you guys don't think that me and Dr. J or anyone from our community that we're making these references up. It says here, Ashkenaz in Hebrew refers to Germany. Let me say that again. Ashkenaz in Hebrew refers to Germany, and Ashkenazi Jews are those who originated in Eastern Europe. Let me say that again, because sometimes people could think that we're hating and all this other stuff, but no one ever disputes any of these sources that I bring up. So let me say it again. It says here, Ashkenazi Jews are those who originated in Eastern Europe.
What?
Got to put my boy Jay Buddy out here. Got to put one of the minions up here. Let me say it again. And Ashkenazi Jews are those who originated in Eastern Europe.
What?
Matter of fact, let's give it a bucket too, brother Jay. Let me put a bucket in here too. All right. No one would contest this right here. No one would contest this. So let's not just leave it here. Let's go to the actual source here. This is coming from sequencing and Ashkenazi reference, panel supports, population targeted, personal genomes, and illuminates Jewish and European origins. All right. So this is the publication right here. Right. And again, we're not dealing with a nation of people. We're talking 330 individuals in the Middle Ages. It didn't say the antiquities. It said the Middle Ages. That's the key, family. You have to pay attention. It said the Middle Ages, and I'm giving sources so no one think that, hey, you know what, pastor's making this stuff up. So if I'm reading certain sources, what I would do, I would actually go to the source that they're quoting from just to make sure that it's accurate, just to make sure that I'm not reading someone's poor information or misinformation or misrepresentation of what the source that they're pulling from. So this is what it says. It says, again, it says the Ashkenazi Jewish, which the acronym you see here is AJ. So when you see AJ and in this article that I'm making a reference from, making a reference to per se, when you see AJ, you'll see it stands for Ashkenazi Jewish. So it says the Ashkenazi Jewish population is a genetic isolate close to European and Middle Eastern groups with genetic diversity patterns conducive to disease mapping. Here we report high-depth sequencing of 128 complete genomes of AJ, in other words, Ashkenazi Jew controls, compared with European samples. Our AJ or Ashkenazi Jew panel has 47% more novel variants per genome and is 8-fold more effective at filtering benign variants out of Ashkenazi Jew clinical genomes. Our panel improves imputations accuracy for AJ SNP arrays by 28% and cover at least one haplotype and 67% of any AJ or Ashkenazi Jew genome, along with identical by descent segments. Reconstruction of recent Ashkenazi Jew history from such segments, and notice what it says, confirm a recent bottleneck of merely 350 individuals. We got to give it a bucket list again. Matter of fact, let me give it a couple of three pieces. See, Brother Jay, what's unfortunate is many talk about DNA, but they never pull up these type of records. You know, it's all this opinions, but not this record. What I'm showing right here, it says the Ashkenazi Jewish community, as we know them today, come from 350 individuals in Europe, not Northeast Africa, but Europe. Any comments, Brother Jay?
Yeah, I mean, when they talk even about the coenine gene, I mean, coming from Ashkenazi, it's just absurd because of this statement alone proves that that's not the case. So, I mean, again, they're just lying to us left and right about who they are, where they come from, so on and so forth. They really are. And when you have this admixture of 350 individuals, how can you possibly tell where you even come from other than Europe? It's just beyond absurd.
And see what many people, just so for you guys that may not be familiar with, and Brother Jay, you can elaborate on this more as well. When you see haplotype, right? When you start dealing with the Y mutation, matter of fact, let me mute it out here. Yeah, when you're dealing with the Y mutation, right? The Y mutation is how they develop these haplotypes or these haplogroups, right? So based upon that Y mutation in certain regions, that's how they come up with, for example, the R, the E, and all these different groups. Those are haplotypes or haplogroups, right? And so when we start understanding that, then we can really start peeling off the layers of deception, right? Because when we start looking at a group of people, and you have all these different Y mutations, right? That's going to suggest that many within that group are converts, right? But that's a whole nother discussion right there. So I'll let Jay elaborate on that more when he come back. Far as the haplogroups and the haplotypes. But in a nutshell, that Y mutation, based upon how that Y chromosome mutates, is how they actually establish the haplotypes or the haplogroups, right? And so that's how they confirm DNA. Like the Y chromosome is passed down through the men, right? And so when you start understanding that, even when we start dealing with, like, for example, the Cohen model, when we start going into that, and suggesting that the Kohen or the Levites have a different Y mutation than the rest of the tribes, that right there can be picked apart, because they all had the same father. All the tribes, or all the 12 sons of Jacob, all had the same Y mutation. And the only way you're going to have a different Y mutation is if you're dealing with someone that is a convert. You're not going to have the same multiple Y mutations coming out of one father. All of them going to have the same Y mutation. But anyway, so again, going back to this point right here, Brother Jay, you back?
Yeah, I just
Okay,
wanted
did you want
to.
to elaborate on that
Yeah,
before I
I
go to
wanted,
my next point?
and that's exactly what we're talking about here. When you see 350 individuals, you're talking about 350 different Y mutations. So how in the world can you possibly single down to that you are Israel if you're dealing with so many different Y mutations, Y haplotypes? They're all different. They're not, look, put it this way, it's not even the matter of mutations, it's a matter of different Y chromosomes, different haplotypes. So again, how can you single out that you're Israel if you have at least 350 different haplotypes? It doesn't make any sense.
And so, family, and that's why when we see the Cohen test that they did, right? And this is how they confirmed many of the tribes in Africa, because what they did was, when you look at the Jewish community as we know them, they have so many different uh, haplotypes within their community. Why? Because you can become a Jew by just denying what your belief system and practice Judaism, right? And you can literally become a Jew. You could be converted over to a Jew. So because of that, they have these different Y haplotypes, right? The haplogroups within their community. So what they did was, for example, from the Northeast Africa, right? They used the Iranians per se, Hebrews that was in the Northeast Africa, and they used them to help establish the the Kohen per se, right? And also we could get into the catacombs, 750 Hebrews, some of the Hebrews that they use in Egypt to determine that as well. But when we get into that right there, what caught them by surprise is that small group of people that they use, and what they said, hey, since this DNA is the rare, right, among all of the haplogroups that they have inside this group of people, they said that we're going to say that is the Kohen, even though so it's so many layers to it. But in a nutshell, Levi had the same DNA, had the same Y mutation as the rest of his brothers, same as Jacob, Issachar, and those guys. All right. Anything else you want to share on that, Brother Jay?
Yeah, even when it comes down to mutations can be traced back from one particular haplotype to another, to basically the parent haplotype. But when you have several different haplotypes, again, there's no way you can really trace back your lineage to a particular set of people. It just doesn't make sense. Fam, listen to what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. So when they try to say, we need to, in order for you to profess that you're Israel, we need to compare your DNA to ours, it doesn't make any sense, because the library of their genome is so wide and vast that they just can't. All they can simply do is say, oh yeah, you match up with our haplotype in this manner, and that's it. But as far as them pointing to Israel, there's no way they can.
Absolutely. 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 You hit it right on the nail. Right on the nail. Right on the nail. And so, family, this is why we do what we do. This is why we're going over this information. And I know we're touching on it briefly, but we'll have a more in-depth conversation on the DNA and some of the information that we're sharing. But I just wanted to share a little bit, just so that way, when we start tying and connecting this together, you can actually know and understand that, hey, we can't just focus on Christianity when it comes to these profaning the things in the Most High. It's other groups that are doing the same thing. And so this is what leads me to this next thing that I want to cover here. This is from October 14th, 2019. World's largest Ouija board, all set to summon the world's largest spirit. Remember, we started off showing that it was a Ashkenazi Jew that created the Ouija board, right? And the Ouija board is used to what? Summon spirits. When you start looking at that dial, right, that's shaped as a triangle, right, a pyramid, right, and just so happened, right, you taking this dial and you put it on this board and trying to what? Talk to spirits, demonic spirits that may be on the other side, right, per se. So this is no coincidence, family. That's why I want to share this here. And I'm going to share with you another key piece of information to bring this all together, to show you that, if you're going to talk about Halloween, don't be selective when you talk about Halloween. Do like David Chappelle. David Chappelle, man, everybody could get the business. He don't just talk about the transgenders. He talk about everybody. Am I right, Jay?
That's right. That's right.
He don't leave anyone uncovered. But I want to take you to this article here, and let's highlight a couple of things. And I'm going to take you to one more thing, and we'll wrap up because I have to get ready for Shabbat tomorrow, service in the morning. But notice what it says here. If you want to summon some really big spirits, you're going to need a really big Ouija board, the world's largest Ouija board. In fact, on October 12th, 2019, the aptly titled Ouijazilla, a 9,000-pound Ouija board, was unveiled in no less than spooky Salem, Massachusetts. Now, family, if you pay attention to what's going on here, we know that this Ouija board was designed to what? Call on a large spirit. Notice it says 2019, right? Notice it says 2019. Well, why are you mentioning that, Pastor? Because this is just after what? The 400-year prophecy. The 400 years of us being inside this country. So why are they calling on a summoning a very large spirit? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? 2 months after the 400 years of us being in this country, the 400-year prophecy, summoning a large spirit by way of this Ouija board. And then when we go to 2020, right, when we get to March, that's where we start seeing what? The declaration of certain things, martial law and all those different things, right? March, that is what? Refer to the god of war, right? What is it? The Mars, the god of war. That's a Roman deity, god of war, right? Which comes from the Egyptians as well. That's a whole nother discussion. But right in October, 2 months after the 400-year prophecy, of 400 years of us being in this country, summoning this large spirit. And what have we been dealing with since, pretty much since the turn of the 400 years? What have we been dealing with? And notice the other thing you see here, Salem, Massachusetts. Now, some of you guys will say, well, what's the big deal about Salem? Well, remember, Melchizedek was the king of Salem. Salem, Shalom, is actually the original name for Jerusalem. But we have this name, peace, right? When we see Shalom, Shalom is what? A place of peace. Shalom simply means, as some would say, shalom. That's a salutation of asking, is it well? But Shalom means a place of peace. So here in this supposed place of peace, where? Salem, Massachusetts. Anything you want to share with that, Brother Jay?
I'm listening, Pastor. Keep going.
All right. I know I'm going a little geek mode here. So, family, why is this significant? It's because Salem, Massachusetts is the capital for witches. Their major conferences are in Salem. You can look it up. I got clips. I'm not going to show it today, but Salem, Massachusetts, when they're having conventions, that is the major headquarters for witches. Salem, Massachusetts is, again, the capital. You can look it up. You got Christian witches. You got Wicca Christians or Christian Wiccas. You got Christian Buddhas. You got Chrislam and all this other stuff. But guess what? Salem, Massachusetts is the headquarters, right? So, family, this is where we have to ask this question. Are you kingdom-minded or empire-driven? But we'll deal with that another time, because I don't want to get too deep into that. I want to touch on another thing here. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, let me go down to another portion here. I know I have a lot on the screen here. Yeah, let's take it down to, let's start with Jeremiah. I'm going to bring it down to Deuteronomy. Let's start here. Abominations. Let's start with abominations. The Hebrew definition of abomination, I'm going here for a reason, right? Something disgusting. Something disgusting. Especially idolatry, an idol. But notice in this sub-entry A, it says in ritual sense of unclean foods. Wait a minute. Abomination is eating unclean foods and also using unclean foods for sacrifices. And yet we see all this arguing, even from many brothers and sisters within our community, fighting to eat that swine, fighting to eat other unclean foods by hiding under the misunderstandings of Paul's teachings. The Messiah never endorsed eating unclean foods. The Messiah never in Matthew chapter 5 said it's okay to eat whatever the Most High put before you. Matthew chapter 15 has nothing to do with the dietary laws per se. Verse 1 and 2, it deals with what? Eating with dirty hands. Dealing with what the Pharisees were pushing, traditions of elders, when the Messiah had to bring them back to the commandments of the Most High. But they were dealing with eating their food with dirty hands. So the Messiah is saying eating your food with dirty hands is not what's going to defile you. And what they were eating in that chapter was bread. But many would take and interpolate interpolate the scriptures, interpolate what the Messiah is saying, interpolate what Paul is saying to try to form a narrative to justify what they are eating, or the devices of things that they don't want to let go. Let me pull this back here so people won't think that I'm making this up here. You see in the background here, this is a screen print here. A disgusting thing, abomination, abominable, sub entry A, right, to entry 1. In ritual sense, look at what it says: unclean food, idols, mixed marriages, right? So when you start understanding Babylon, when you start understanding that word Babel, Babel means what? It means confusion by mixing. The bride that's married to the serpent, right? The bride that's married to the serpent, it says on her forehead, her reputation, it says part of her reputation, it had Babylon written on it. In other words, that, she, right, is her reputation is what? Doing things and indulging into things that are disgusting, that are an abomination. In other words, pushing confusion, pushing mixing. So Babel, remember, confusion by what? Mixing. So if we really understand this, right, what the Messiah was dealing with was giving them proper clarity on washing their hands. Now, washing their hands, right, the law, you can see that in the book of Leviticus, chapter 13, 14, and 15, right? You can see some other chapters there as well, dealing with the priests washing their hands, right, in the temple, not just their hands and their feet. But there is no law about washing your hands before you eat your food. Those are traditions of the elders, but they were taking the law and making it into, throwing their traditions, and traditions is interchangeable with the word statutes, and statutes simply means instructions. So they were coming up with their own instructions on how to carry out what the Most High has said. And that's the problem that we see here today. So disgusting, right? Something disgusting, abomination. So idolatry, right? And as we see here, unclean foods, idols, mixed marriages. Look, I didn't mention that. Look at what it says here. Mixed marriages. And what's happening right now? Israel is still going out here and what? Mixing with the Confederate, the countries that have vowed and set up agreements among themselves to completely wipe away the reputation of Israel. But yet Israel is still marrying the sons and daughters of the very people that have oppressed and have put your people in captivity in this country. But we still got to mix and mesh. We got to still, take pride in mixing our culture. Hey, look at that. Look at how she Bill Clinton. Remember this, Brother Jay? You probably remember this. Bill Clinton, before Obama became president. Oh, Bill Clinton is the true first black president. Man, get out of here. Bill Clinton is still a Caucasian. Bill Clinton helped sign the laws that many was bringing up about Hillary Clinton, including Joe Biden supported it by what? Incarcerating our brothers and sisters, the 3 strike rules that was big up in New York and New Jersey. Remember that, Brother Jay?
I definitely remember that. Yes.
So, history is interesting how history repeats itself, because in that Confederate and the 83rd book of Psalms, you see the Moabites, you see the Ammonites, you see the Edomites, you see all these kingdoms that came together to form an alliance to go against Israel. Guess what? Israel, when you go to the book of Nehemiah, guess what Israel were doing? They were marrying those very people. And they began to what? Their children began to what? Lose their heritage. And they started embracing the heritage of the very countries that have sought to what? Wipe them out. That's why I started off with that scripture. Envy not the ways of the oppressors. Stop trying to mock and mimic what the oppressors are doing. Right? So remember, abomination means something disgusting. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 9 and 10. Let's read this real quick. I'm going to highlight a couple more things and then we'll wrap it up. Let Brother Jay have the final words. Verse 9. When thou art come into the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations. This is not an option. It says, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations. So, family, what's happening in the book of Deuteronomy? In the book of Deuteronomy, now we see the children of those that were that generation, that the first generation that came out of Egypt. These are the children of that first generation that came out of Egypt. And because of them being labeled as a wicked group of people, the Messiah said, the Most High said, you guys are not going into the promised land. Your offsprings will. So now we're dealing with the offsprings. In the book of Deuteronomy, it's a series of words from the instructions for the Most High through Moses, telling them what to do to prepare to go into this new territory. So what he's telling them in chapter 18 is dealing with abominations. Now, if you go to this chapter, right, I don't think I put it up here. In this chapter, it deals with being perfect. Wait a minute, family. We're being taught that no one's perfect, but yet we see in this text, if you want to be perfect, the Most High is saying you can't do these things in order to be perfect with the Most High. We'll deal with that word perfect another time. I challenge you, go read this scripture, read this chapter, read these verses, and you'll see perfect at the conclusion of this chapter. Even the Messiah told his disciples at the conclusion of chapter 5 in Matthew said, hey, they have to be perfect, but nobody's perfect, right? That's what we're taught. Abraham was challenged to what? Be perfect. I could go right down the list. But anyway, let's get back here and let's wrap this up. It says, when thou art come into the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations. Right? Thawai bath, right? Or to'eba is in the Israeli language, or thawai bath, right? Of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or daughter pass to pass through the fire, ash or asha, or that uses divination, quasam, or an observer, Iwanan of times, or an enchanter, Nakash, or a witch, Kashap, or a charmer, or a consulter, La'ash, with familiar spirits, Awab, or a wizard, Yadai Nai, right? Man, laying it out here. The Most High is not playing, but guess what? All these things that are listed, our brothers and sisters are falling right into it. But it says here that maketh his son or daughter pass through the fire. Let's hold in on this real quick. So what is pass through the fire? Right? The occulted practice of child sacrifice. A child was sacrificed in order to secure the favor of some false deity or to seek the revelation of some future event. There was the occultic practice of divination or fortune telling. This was an attempt to foresee or foretell future events or to discover some hidden knowledge. So there was also the occult practice of sorcery, which was the attempt to learn or control future events by the power of evil spirits. There was the occult practice of interpreting omens. There was the attempt to tell future events based upon signs such as fire, rain, or the movements of birds. Right now we're getting into the elements. Right. So there was the occulted practice of witchcraft. This was an attempt to influence people or events through sorcery or magic. This they do by using some supernatural method or by consulting the devil, Hasatan, or some familiar spirit. And we see this in Jeremiah 7, verse 18 to 20. It says, the children gathered wood, and the father kindled the fire, and the woman knead their doughs to make cakes to the queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods. This is milk and cookies for Santa, that they provoke me to anger. Do they provoke me to anger, saith Yahweh? Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces? Therefore, thus saith the Yahweh Elohim, behold, my anger and fury shall be poured out upon this place, upon man, beast, the trees of the field, upon the fruits of the ground. It shall burn and shall not be quenched. So let's wrap up with this final thought, right? Tradition of Edens or proof of the historical truth of the Pentateuch. This is what it says about, and I want to give you guys clarity about the Yule log. Because when you see the Yule log on Christmas, guess what? That is celebrating passing the children through the fire. As you see up on your screen, right? This is a great source to get. A farther confirmation of an illustration of these facts is found in the customs of Christmas Yule log. The word Yule is the Chaldee term for an infant or little child, and hence it was that Christmas Day was called among the heathens Yule Day or the Child's Day. So guess what? The children had to what? Get the wood. They were telling their children to get the wood. The wood that your child was getting represents them passing through the fire. Family, it's real out here. So, or ages before the birth of Christ, and this entirely accounts for the putting of the Yule log into the fire on Christmas Eve and the appearance of the Christmas tree the next morning. As zero, ashta, right? Zero is seed, which means what? The seed of the woman. So zero, seed, ashta means woman. So seed of the woman, which name also signify ignagina, in other words, born of the fire. So that, we see this right inside the scriptures here. This is what Israel was telling them. The Most High was telling Israel not to do, to sacrifice their children through the fire. But I want to bring up one last thing. I want to show you an illustration here, and then we're going to wrap this up, Brother Jay, and I'm going to bring you on here. I'm going to bring up here. I want to bring Molech up. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me read out of the Talmud, right? I could give you some other sources, but I want to read out the Talmud and then we'll deal with Molech real quick. And let me read something out of the Talmud about Molech, right? This is the Sanhedrin 64a. Let's see what the Talmud say about the worship of Molech, right? Mishnah, right? That's a source that's a commentary as well. He who gives his seed to Molech incurs no punishment. Notice what it says. He who gives his seed to Molech incurs no punishment unless he delivers it to Molech and causes it to pass through the fire. If he gave it to Molech but did not cause it to pass through the fire, wait a minute, you could give your child to Molech, but long as you don't pass it through the fire or reverse, he incurs no penalty unless he does both. But it goes on to say the Mishnah teaches idolatry and giving to Molech. This is when you start getting to the rabbis and not getting into all of that. But it says our Mishnah is in accordance with the view that Molech worship is not idolatry, for it has been taught if one causes his seed to pass through the fire, whether to Molech or to any other idol, he is liable to death. And then you see some rabbis here, Rabbi Eliezer and son of Simeon said, if to Molech, he is liable. If to another idol, he is not. You see, this is dealing with what? Molech worship. They're saying it's okay to pass when they say seed, pass their children through the fire. Sacrificing children. You guys can look up bloodletting, the reason why they had the burning of the Talmud back in the 11th century, because of what they discovered inside there. Not getting into all of that right now, but I want to bring up this image right here. And Brother Jay, you can chime in when you, if you want to, as we get ready to wrap it up. This is a furnace here, right? To give you proper clarity, when we deal with the Hebrew young men, they were thrown into the fiery furnace of Molech, right? And notice where this furnace sits at, right? At the belly. So this is where you get the term, the belly of the beast. So the Hebrew young men were thrown into the belly of the beast because they did not want to bow down to this idol that Nebuchadnezzar built for all of those that he conquered, their kingdom conquered, to worship Molech. We'll stop right here. Brother Jay, anything you want to say here?
Yeah, Pastor. Molech, Baal, all of these pagan gods basically point to one entity, and that is Satan. The question you asked earlier about why is there so much interaction with the Ouija board since our 400 years are up, is because they're looking to interact with their God. Their God is not ours. We serve the true and the living Most High God. They do not. They serve Satan. So they need to get their guidance from him. They can't get it from our Elohim, because he's not on their side. He's on our side. So they're scrambling for things to do to help save them out of the situation that they're in. They know what's coming their way. And so they're doing, look, by any means necessary to keep themselves in authority and to keep us bowed down to them. But things are changing. We see that. We see that daily. And we just got to continue to trust in the Most High, and he will continue to direct our path. Remember, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. We have to renew our minds in the Most High. That's pretty much what I have to say, Pastor.
Absolutely, family. And going right back to what we pointed out early on, I'll bring up the scripture again. Proverbs 3, verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. Envy not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. So, family, we have to stop falling for the trickery. And to this day, many of us are still falling for the desiring the errors, or should I say the culture of the oppressors, the belief systems of the oppressors, how their warped understanding of our belief system, our Dabar HaQuadash, the holy word, and how they've taken it and repackaged it and now presenting it back to us. Guess what? We gotta clear our spirits, clear our mind, will, and emotions from this stuff that have been pushed, upon our people. All right. So with that being said, family, I'm going to bring Dr. J back up here. Let me bring him back up here, and we're going to have our bucket award here. Right. Dr. J, any final words, and also any buckets, people that you want to add to the bucket list? Unmute yourself.
YT for sure.
Yeah, let's give them the bucket.
Yeah,
the garbage can. Anyone else?
I'm still Stephen A is still on my mind, man. Let's give him another one. He deserves another one. All the garbage.
All right, let's give him the garbage can.
Yeah.
All right. And anyone that's watching right now, if you want to put some recommendations up, we'll let you guys add a couple of people to the bucket list as me and Brother Jay get ready to wrap up here. If you have anyone that you want to add to the bucket list, want to say peace and blessings to my sister Shalon Herring. Peace and blessings to you, sister. Really appreciate you. Appreciate the support from you. Really appreciate you. That's right. Chosen by Yah. Stop majoring in the minors. Absolutely. All right. So somebody said Biden. Okay. Let's put him in. Let's give him the bucket.
Oh, yeah.
Let's give him the garbage can.
Big time.
All right. Anyone else? Just put the name up in there. Let's see. Lee any man be boast. Let's any man boast, excuse me. Bucket list, the New York governor calling people her disciples. That's right. Let's give the bucket on that, family, because that was some crazy stuff right there. I think matter of fact, family, let me play it real quick and then we'll give the bucket so that way you guys can see exactly what less any man boast says. Let's mean by that.
Prayed a lot to God during this time. And you know what? God did answer our prayers. He made the smartest men and women, the scientists, the doctors, the researchers. He made them come up with a vaccine. That is from God to us. And we must say, thank you, God. Thank you. And I wear my vaccinated necklace all the time to say, I'm vaccinated. All of you. Yes, I know you're vaccinated. You're the smart ones. But you know there's people out there who aren't listening to God and what God wants. You know this. You know who they are. I need you to be my apostles. I need you to go out and talk about it and say, we owe this to each other. We love each other. Jesus taught us to love one another. And how do you show that love? But to care about each other enough to say, please get vaccinated because I love you. I want you to live.
All right. So we gave her the back of the bucket list. We got a whole list of them. Man, somebody put Paula White up here. Yeah, let's give her the bucket list. I think she's still trying to get these angels from Africa to pray over her. All right. Let's see here. We'll do a couple more here. Let's see here. All right. I thought I saw a couple of others here. Let's see here. Yeah, let's give Oprah because Oprah been doing some crazy stuff too. I used to give props to her, but she's been doing some crazy stuff here. Let's give it a bucket. All right. Oh yeah. You know, it's a lot of them out here. Somebody said give some bucket list to Kamala, Barack. Both need the bucket and the 3-piece. They trying to throw it all. But just for your request, I'll go ahead and give the bucket and I give a 3-piece with it. All right. All right. So family, yeah, my bucket list. You guys already covered my bucket list. It's a couple of them out there, like as Dora L pointed out, Joe Manchin, Fauci. It's a few of them out there that can get the bucket list. Don Lemon. Matter of fact, we just put them all together. All right. I guess for now, I'm not going to mention any of their names for the future videos, just to make sure that they don't even use that. All right. But let's give them the bucket list right now. Let's see here. All right. Give these guys the garbage can. All right. So with that being said, family, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Brother Jay, any final words you want to give as we wrap it up?
Like we left off last session, we really need to start thinking about supporting ourselves. Start thinking about having that entrepreneurial mindset where you want to start your own businesses. One thing that we're seeing more and more, people are leaving the mainstream as far as employment. And I believe they're starting to get into their own businesses. Something that we definitely need to do as a nation, and this will help us, not them. It will help us. One thing they're gonna feel is when we stop supporting them financially, they will start to feel that. And the only way they can start to feel is if we all come together collectively, collaboratively as a nation and start supporting ourselves. We did it once before and we can do it again. So yeah, that's one thing we definitely need to start aspiring towards, not just sitting at home and being lackadaisical about things that are going on and just saying to yourself, oh, well, I'm fine, life is good. Let's start thinking about nation building, kingdom building, so on and so forth. I believe that is one of the ways in which we can definitely come up out of having the oppressor on our neck.
Amen. Amen. I totally agree with you, and appreciate you sharing that final word. And for everyone in conjunction with Dr. J here, as I always quote from Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 to 14, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, right? They will not have power over you ever again, no matter what it is. You know, they will not have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you. But the key, family, we have to hold our peace. And the Hebrew word there is karash. And karash means be quiet. We have to know when to talk, but we in certain situations, we have to know how to just be quiet and let the Most High move the way that He's going to move. All right. So with that being said, I want to say can't go back, can't stay here, keep moving forward. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Really appreciate your family and have a blessed Shabbat. Shalom again.
Blessings, family.